Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jumpstart Monday. This is Michael Verratti, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 biggest lessons I've learned in business the hard way. Just before we do that, let me say that we're broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. And if for any reason you would like any of your friends to know about this episode, this Jumpstart Monday episode, and learn the lessons, find out about the books we were suggesting or the advice we're giving, please do share this episode. At the end of the episode, I'm going to be announcing the winner of the Stand Up, Stand Out online course. Giorgio Anu, for the first time ever, somebody beat you to the good morning. It's Sofia Shilimindri. Good morning, Sofia. Good morning, George. Feel free to share this episode, as I said, so you can not only get a chance to win the Stand Up, Stand Out online course, but also to help others join in our tribe. Olga Marotsidou is here. Olga, good morning. Good morning to you as well. Thank you for being present. George and Sophia. Richard Pettinger is here as well. Good morning, Richard. So guys, as I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest lessons I've learned in business the hard way, and then I'm going to get to your comments as well. And I'm starting first and foremost with the biggest lesson I ever got. That was a punch to my right in the center of my ego. And it came from this gentleman right here you're about to see on your screen. The biggest lesson I ever got in business came from Mr. Paris Papaelinas. He's the person you see on my left to your right. And it was back in 2014. After we had a very successful workshop, as you can see here up in Platres Mountains, and we finished the workshop. Everything has gone fantastically well. And as we took the photo you see on your screen, Paris approached me. He said, Michael, just before you leave, my wife was there. My young child, Rolando, was present. He said, Michael, I want to talk to you about something. He hugged me and he said, Michael, you're very, very talented. I have to say that I admire what I've seen. You're very passionate. You know your subject very well, but I need to give you a piece of advice. And I said, yes, Paris. He said, Michael, stop boasting. As you see on your screen, boasting is being excessively proud and self-satisfied, talking about one's achievements, possessions, or abilities, which is our first lesson. And I said, what do you mean, Paris? He said, Michael, you talked to us about the 10 times 10 times 10 rule, and you said you will find it in my book on page blah, blah, blah. Then you talked to us about the 2 versus 1 rule, and you will find it in my book, blah, 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 blah. He said, Michael, stop telling people that it's your rule and it's in your book. Let people find out on their own after they buy your book. So stop boasting, stop talking about yourself and about your rules, and talk to us about the rule. The 10 times 10 times 10 rule, which says people judge you from 10 meters away, 10 inches away, and from your first 10 words. And you need to not say that rule it can be found within your book. When we buy your book, we will find it. I left from there. My wife, Christine, turned to me and said, what did Paris say? And I was driving down Platers and I was thinking to myself, should I tell her? Should I not tell her? I felt hurt for a moment. But Paris gave me the biggest wake-up call that anyone could have ever given me 7 years ago. And that was that stop boasting, stop talking about yourself, and start talking about the theory, about the research, and about how people can learn. If you do that, then you become an even better presenter, a person who's not about him or her, but it is about the student, about the pupil. And that was the first ever lesson that I ever got. So now let's go to the second lesson. And the second one is about being patient. It is being able to accept or tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So let's go and see a photo about that. That's the reason, just before we see it, let me say that early in my career, I was very impatient. I wanted my father, who was my first ever mentor, to tell me that I have become successful, that I managed to do things, that I was good at what I was doing. And I remember my father told me, and I'm going to refer to my father a lot of times because most of the lessons that I learned in business, the hard way, I learned through my dad. He said, Michael, let me tell you something, son. This is a proverb that wasn't his proverb, but was a proverb that really resonated with him. He said, we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. It took me quite a while to understand what he meant. But what he meant was the following. Most of us rush within a year to become book authors, to marry the person that we should live the whole lives together, to complete projects, to become successful, to become well-known, to be branded. But we do not take the longer term, the longer path, which is 10 years. My experience has shown me that every 10 years, probably starting from the age of 20 until the age of 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and 50 to 60, and maybe 60 to 70, and as life is prolonged, maybe 70 to 80, every 10 years is a whole lifetime. You might not be a book author for the first 50 years, and by 50 until 60, you can write 10 books. You might not be happily married or have children if you so wish, as I didn't have until the age of 40, and by the age of 49, I have 3 children, healthy children, and I'm as happy as I have ever been. So stop pushing yourself to do things. Stop pushing yourself to do things within the first year and try to think long-term. And that's the reason, let me take this caption off, and that's the reason, my dear friends, that in my booklet, Set Goals and Seize Your Life, where I work with my mentees to help them reach their goals, I developed a system which, as you can see an orange arrow looking upwards. It says TS, that's time span. I always ask my mentees, and that's my goals in 2016 on the 12th of January. I always ask my mentees to break down their goals in 1-year goal, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, and 10-year goals. Why do I do that? Because I don't want them to have all the pressure to succeed within the first year, because then you get the tension up and you get the person feeling that they are a disappointment to themselves, to the world, and to what they're doing. So I want them to see the 10-year horizon, but be active with that 10-year horizon. So number 1, stop boasting. Number 2, be patient. And let's go to number 3, which is the definition of being consistent. Acting or done in the same way over time, especially as to be fair or to be accurate. And here I'll tell you a story. The story is as follows. When I came to Virardi back in 1998, my father told me, you will be in charge of a company called Carlisle. That was plastic articles, plastic tumblers, plastic service cards, and the rest. And to cut a long story short, within 1 year of working with that company, I was exclusively working on it. The US-based management of the company called us and they said, Michael and Virardi, you have won the Distributor of the Year award. That was the award they gave us. And you can fly together with your brother Giovanni to the United States to be awarded. So my dear friends, that was an amazing experience. I felt proud. I was putting in 12, 15 hours a day, going from one town to Cyprus to the next. There were huge competition coming in from the likes of 2 other competing companies, Cambro and Rubbermaid. We've done extremely well. Our target for the first year was a 40-foot container, and we've done 8 40-foot containers. So I came back from the States and went straight to my dad, and I said, Dad, do you believe I am successful now? Am I doing very well? And my dad said, Michael, come back, son, in 3 years' time, and I'll let you know if you're successful. And I said, what do you mean? We won the European Distributor Award. We're doing very well. Our sales are doing well. He said, Michael, have you seen football players having an amazing year and then dropping in performance? Unlike Messi, unlike Ronaldo, unlike Sergio Ramos, unlike some of the players that are consistent. Have you seen restaurants, he said, that they're fully packed in their first month or first year of opening, and then there is no one there? Have you seen business people who got awards, who were successful, who were in their magazines, in their national magazines, being celebrated, and then they vanished into thin air, or they were behind bars? They said, yes. He said, Michael, your lesson, which you're going to learn the hard way because you were rushing, I was impatient, is you need to be consistent. You will be successful once you show that you're consistent. Once you prove, not only to myself, not only to your colleagues, not only to the world at large and to the business community out there, but also to yourself, that you are consistent. And that was the third biggest lesson that I ever learned. Now, let's go to the fourth lesson that I learned the hard way. And the fourth lesson was that early on in my career, I was rushing when I was going to meetings as a consultant to give the answers. People would utter a few words out of their mouth, and the first thing that I've said coming out of my mouth was an answer. I was trying to find the remedy, and I was so sure of myself that I started by giving answers. So the lesson that I've learned is that questions are more important than answers. Because as you can see there, questions on our screen seek to understand, they seek to clarify, they seek to frame, and they seek to evaluate. And my guess is that if you go to a doctor, even though you haven't studied medicine for 12 years or 15 years, you have a hunch, or you have a feeling that that doctor is very good at what he or she does. It is because, first and foremost, they were polite, they were eager, they leaned forward to help you, and then they asked a lot of clarifying questions. And last night, I was watching a series, one of my favorite series. Let me show you which series, on Netflix. It's called New Amsterdam. And during that series, it was, if I'm not mistaken, episode 4, series 1. One of the doctors, his name is Vijay Kapoor, he came up to a lady and asked her, how are you feeling? And she said, dizzy. And the doctor said, can you please define dizzy? And the lady said, dizzy means dizzy. There is nothing to define. And he kept her there without admitting her in until she defined dizzy. And he said something to his colleague that really resonated with me. Fast and wrong is not a service to her or to anyone. Fast and wrong is not a service to her or to anyone. So the lesson that I've learned throughout my career, and it was solidified last night by Dr. Vijay Kapoor, even though he's an actor, is that we need to go, instead of fast and wrong, we need to go slow and right. And the best way to go slow and right is to ask a lot of clarifying questions. Yes, they invite you in as an expert, but an expert needs first and foremost to investigate, to ask a lot of questions. If people say, I want my customer service to reach a level that is perfect, you need to define what customer service is and what perfect is in that industry. So by asking questions, you create a picture and you create a framework around which you can propose, you can have a great proposal, and you can suggest solutions to your customers' ongoing problems. So questions over answers. And let's go to the fifth lesson that I've learned the hard way. And that lesson, I learned it from my dad, Rolando. He said to me that, Michael, you need to give everything a home. Michael, you need to tidy up. I have to admit, even until today, I find it extremely difficult to be as tidy as my father was, to be as organized as my father was. And my father was so organized that in the dark, he could find all of his things. And I learned the lesson one day, and I will show you the photo from that particular day. That was a few months before we lost my dad. He was a patient. He was doing kidney dialysis. And doing kidney dialysis is a very arduous and hard procedure. It takes 4 to 5 hours. You are extremely tired by the time you finish. And my dad would spend another 20 minutes, because I used to go and pick him up from the hospital. He used to spend another 20 minutes to tidy up all his things inside his bag. And I was always saying, Dad, throw things inside the bag. Let's leave from this hospital. I didn't even feel comfortable at the hospital. So throw things inside your bag. Let's leave from here and we can do it later on. He said, no, Michael, we do it now. And that's exactly what you should be doing at your seminars. You finish a seminar. I know you're tired, because I came to some of your seminars after 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours talking straight, but tidy up. You will know where everything is. You will save time. You will give everything a home, and your mind will be clear because you will know where everything is. And I remember another case with my dad a day before we lost him, where the doctor said, where can I find so-and-so things about Mr. Virardi's health condition? He said, open in my file and go to the red page. That's the third page there, and you will find the recipe from the other doctor. He knew exactly where everything was. So, my dear friends, just to sum everything up, stop boasting. It's not about your ego. It's about your students. It's about your audience. Secondly, be patient. Do not be impatient. Success will come your way if you're patient and if you're consistent. Fourth, an expert asks more questions than he or she gives answers. And number 5, give everything a home, tidy up, invest the time, because it will save you a lot of time going forward. So these were the 5 lessons. And before I get to your comments and your questions, we have 3 things left. The book I always suggest, the Proverb, and the winner of our Stand Up, Stand Out online course from the previous episode. So the book, I couldn't have thought of a better book. It has to be an autobiography, or a biography for this matter. And it has to come from a person that wasn't liked by most people, but he was revered by the majority of people because of what he has achieved. It took me a month and a half to finish this biography by Steve Jobs, written by Walter Isaacson. It's amazing the pearls of wisdom you can learn from this book. I only want to read one thing, and this is why lessons can come from other people as well. Listen to this. This is somebody talking, Andrea Cunningham talking about Steve Jobs. Jobs' primary test for recruiting people, listen to this test for recruiting people, in the spring of 1981, to be part of the merry band of pirates, was making sure that they had a passion for the product. So how did he make sure in interviews that people had a passion for the product? Listen to this. He would sometimes bring candidates into a room where a prototype of the latest Mac was covered by cloth, dramatically unveiling it, and watch. What did he watch for? He watched if their eyes lit up, for the candidate's eyes, if they lit up, if they went right for the mouse and started pointing and clicking. Steve would smile and he would hire them. So, my dear friends, if you want to learn more lessons, because life is short, you can read the biographies and autobiographies of people who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, made mistakes in the process. This book taught me a lot of lessons, and it's highly suggested. And now I want to finish with our proverb, get to your comments, and then announce the winner of our Stand Up, Stand Out competition. The proverb is the following. It sums up everything we said up to now. The person who told me this was the general manager of Eureka Company, my friend Jason Neofitu. Here is the proverb. Lessons in life will be repeated until they are learned. Let me repeat that. Lessons in life will be repeated until they are learned. It's by Frank Sonnenberg, an award-winning author. So in other words, if you fail to learn the lesson, then you're bound to repeat the mistake. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let's go and now see your comments. Let's see who's here. Sophia, good morning. Good morning, George, once again. Good morning to our friend Olga. Hello, Richard. Ioanna Hadzi, good morning. Great to have you here. Yorios Frosinis, it's been a long time. Kalimera from Kokalakia. My friend Antonis Ladouros is here. Good morning, Philemu. Good morning. Elena Victoros, a bright young lawyer at Neocleus. Good to have you here. Socrates, Neanidis. Hello, Socrates. My friend and mentee Stathis Stasis is here. Apostolos Tegopoulos. Hello, Apostolos. Roxani from Greece. How are you doing, Roxani? Natasha Stylianou. Elena is here. Good morning, Elena. Eleni Aslan, it's been a long time. Happy that you found that scene meaningful. So if you're watching what I'm watching, you're so right. Thank you, Roxani. George Papadopoulos, good morning. How you doing? And Nick, how you doing, Nick? Great to have you with us. So our winner, dear friends, and thank you for tuning in for our Stand Up, Stand Out online course. The person who has shared it through Facebook is Stefanos Konstantinou, the general manager of Mefal. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Michael Virardi. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll be informed of any other of our live shows or videos that we upload. I will be truly honored if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a productive day and week ahead. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.